They beat the Lions by 3. The Lions have been looking good, so they've really had a tough slate. Then coming up, they got the Bears. They should win.
They're going to breathe a nice breath of fresh air because they've had probably the hardest schedule coming in.
Yeah, and over their next 7 games, they're going to be favored to win 6 of them. At Bears, at Bucks, maybe they're favored to lose against the Falcons, but then versus Dolphins, at Jets, at Saints, versus the Vikings. So, I mean, that if they can go 6-1 over that, people are going to be talking about them as, a come up again and another Super Bowl.
And if Cam can keep this swagger he has going on right now, because the 2 games previous to last night's, Cam looked MVP worthy. He looked really stinking good, and he looked poised and confident. Last night or Thursday night's game, he just looked a little more crazy Cam with his throwing. Like, he didn't look like he was sure of his throws. He was holding the ball a little longer. He wasn't getting outside. Like, his run game was vintage Cam Newton. It was really good. And he was gutsy, man. Did you see that play on the goal line where he reached for the touchdown? I'm so glad he didn't get that touchdown. He was marked out because Christian McCaffrey came up and scored it right after that. But Cam looked bold. Yeah. And that's good to see out of him because last year, watching Cam just kind of huck the ball and get interceptions and try to give it to Jonathan Stewart all the time. I don't know.
Have that fire there.
This is a comeback season for Cam, I feel like, and he's doing all the right things. Number 5.
Wait, I didn't want to.
Number 6 for you. Sorry.
Number 6, we've already talked about them, so we don't talk too much more. I have Washington, number 6 still. Even though they're only 2-2. Once again, lost to the Eagles, lost at the Chiefs, win versus a very good Rams team, and a win versus the Raiders when Derek Carr was still in. So
and I think you could say a win against the Niners.
Oh yeah, I'm already penciling him for 3-2. So that was my number 6. My number 5. This might be the most controversial, and I'm gonna lay it out a little bit longer. A team that was talked about as going to Los Angeles at one point in time, but never went. They are 3-2, and they have losses to 2 teams that probably not good losses, but they have 3 really good wins. Number 5, Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Sure.
Okay. So
their defense looked really good against Big Ben, who wants to retire, but I don't know if LeGarrette or not LeGarrette Blount. What's his name?
Le'Veon Bell.
No,
Antonio Brown.
No, the running back for stupid Jacksonville.
Against them?
No, for them. They're
Leonard Fournette.
Leonard Fournette. Yeah. I get him and LeGarrette Blount confused all the time.
Yeah.
But he's a rookie. He looks like
he's awesome.
He is a number 1 running back in any sort of fantasy format, anything.
All right,
guy's a stud.
So let me run down. So like I said, 2 not good losses versus the Titans, 37-16 loss. Not good, but hey, that was when Marcus Mariota, that was when he was at his top and not injured. Lost at the Jets by 3. Not great, but the Jets are doing better. But their 3 wins are super impressive. Opened the season at the Texans, 29-7. Deshaun Watson has really turned into like the wonder kid of the NFL this year.
Him and Carson Wentz, man.
Him and Carson Wentz and Leonard Fournette, really. And Dalvin Cook if he wasn't injured.
And Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt. And then versus the Ravens, who have looked pretty good besides this loss. A 44-7 win against the Ravens in London. And then last week, the Steelers, who we expected to be one of the top offenses in the league, 5 interceptions, 30-9 win in Pittsburgh. You can't discount that. I mean,
the Steelers have their own issues going on.
They have their own issues, but
Jacksonville might have benefited from some internal.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh is 3-2. You know, like they're still a team that everyone expected to be good. Ben Roethlisberger, you know, no matter what the distractions or whatever may be going on in that locker room, it's not going to make Big Ben throw 5 interceptions. They have, you know, a top 5 quarterback. Probably the top running back.
Oh, Michigan,
and probably the
big, like 80-yard run. Yeah. Michigan takes the lead, nice 20-10.
Yeah, and probably the best wide receiver in football, in Antonio Brown. And they only scored 9 points against them. So I am very impressed by the Jacksonville defense. Obviously, not super impressed by their quarterback. Blake Bortles has not really lived up to his first-round draftage. But Leonard Fournette, I mean, if they can just ride Leonard, he's been doing awesome in their 5 games so far. If it weren't for Deshaun Watson and Kareem Hunt, he might be, you know, top rookie of the year guy, but this is going to be quite the year for rookies. I'm impressed by them. I think I had to give them their props after what was a huge win, and now they play the Rams tomorrow. So that's a big show me game for both those teams. See who can get to 4-2, because both of those teams are at 3-2 right now, and both are kind of young teams up and coming with head coaches who are getting a good profile from their winning teams. So that's my number 5. Who's ESPN's number 5?
Patriots.
Okay. All right.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Below average defense, 2 early losses.
Yeah. Number 4, team we've already talked about too much, so we won't go too much into it. The Philadelphia Eagles. That was before
ESPN agrees.
That was before their game against Carolina, which I think they'll move up from there. But they just look like the real deal. Their defense is awesome. Wentz is awesome.
Who do you have
Blunt.
3 and 2?
3?
I don't know. I feel like you've already said the teams I would have had in my 3 and 2.
Yeah, no. So we already talked about both these teams a little bit, at least mentioned them. Number 3, I have Denver. I just think their defense is so good that even without a great offense, I mean, their defense has been really the number 1 defense in the NFL for the past 3+ seasons. They play the Giants. They're going to be 4-1. They had a loss to the Bills, but they've beaten the Chargers, the Cowboys by 25, and then the Raiders. Their defense is just like a machine. It doesn't matter who's in there, as long as you have Von Miller and their cornerbacks and the rest of the guys, that have been staples for them, Brandon Marshall and company. They're going to get things done. And Trevor Siemian had that bad game, but still 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's doing his thing. And then between C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles, can run the ball some. I like what they're putting together. So I have number 3. Who's number 3 for ESPN?
Atlanta, which is way too high.
Yeah. Number 2, I have the Patriots. I just, like we keep saying, it's hard to put them too low. And I think maybe after another week or two, they're going to start dropping if some of the teams I have behind them kind of show themselves.
Well, and if they lose another game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Philly could easily jump the Patriots for next week. I mean, even if Jacksonville has a great game against the Rams, they could jump them.
Well, let's not talk crazy talk.
We're getting a little bit crazy up in here. The sickness really messed with my mind. I mean, Washington, Atlanta, all those teams could jump the Patriots, but at this point, even though they're only 3 and 2, with only one team being unbeaten, I mean, you have to throw in some teams who have had a couple of rough spots so far this season. And then number 1, obvious, Kansas City Chiefs. No one is really even near what they've been able to do this year. Their win over Houston, not a 1-possession game, even no matter what the scoreboard says. They dominated that game until Deshaun Watson put on a show in the last few minutes to make it a good score line for the Houston Texans. But Kansas City, I mean, can anyone honestly say?
I want my fun fact for Kansas City.
I'll let you have that really quick. But can anyone honestly say that through 5 weeks in the season, we'd be talking about Alex Smith as the MVP frontrunner? It's insane.
He's incredible. 0 picks. He's awesome. The Chiefs, as a team, have not turned the ball over except for their first play of the entire season.
That's
their first
insane.
snap. Kareem Hunt fumbled on the first snap, which was his first fumble since early college.
Yeah.
And no one has turned the ball over since then. There's not been one deflected pass that hops into a defender's arms. There hasn't been one bad pass. There hasn't been a fumble. If there has been, it was covered back up by the Chiefs. Like, these guys, right now, I think they have a 99.4 chance of making the playoffs. They're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
As long as they don't lose out, which isn't going to happen because these guys look amazing. They've beat the Patriots in an incredible opening game for the season. And in the NFL, turnovers kill. We saw it in the Panthers game. Cam Newton turned the ball over 3 times. Carson Wentz once. Mm-hmm. He fumbled early, and that was just Julius Peppers being Julius Peppers. That wasn't Carson Wentz's fault.
Yeah.
If anything, it was the offensive line. But turnovers win and lose games in the NFL, and Kansas City Chiefs are the most protective team. And they run weird plays. Normally, weird plays lead to turnovers. Yeah. They don't turn the ball over.
This is what I want the Panthers to do with
run weird plays because they have the assets.
Exactly. So Kansas City, very, very impressive. One blow for them. Chris Conley, who is their number 2 receiver so far, is going to be out for the rest of the season after tearing his Achilles last week.
That's rough.
Marcus Kemp is promoted from the practice squad per Adam Teacher.
All that means is that Tyreek Hill's targets are going to go way up. Because so far he's had sort of a disappointing season if you take away his one punt return for a touchdown that was like 84 yards. But he really, last year, was targeted so much in their passing game just because he can beat anyone in a 40-yard sprint. Mm-hmm. And I think his targets are going to go a lot further up with Connolly down and Travis Kelce being kind of questionable with his head stuff going on. I think we're going to see a big game out of Mr. Hill.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mr. Hunt does nothing. As much as I like him, I'm playing against him. I can't.
Yeah. But they have a rough stretch coming up. Their next 4 games versus the Steelers tomorrow, at the Raiders, who will have Derek Carr back, hopefully. Hopefully he won't get injured tomorrow. That's going to be Thursday night. So quick turnaround. And then versus the Broncos at the Cowboys. So that's 4 teams that people kind of had penciled in for the playoffs to start this year. Maybe not the Broncos, but they played well. And then they get a little bit of less stringent at the Giants versus the Bills at the Jets. So next 4 games, if Kansas City can go 4-0 through those, then they're going to be the real deal. But as of now, top team in the NFL by far.
Yeah,
fun season. So far.
I just read about the great Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Do you know he has 6 touchdowns in the 4th quarter this season? Some quarterbacks don't even have 6 touchdowns yet.
Yeah, like Matt Ryan.
I think he's had 6 touchdowns this year with his team trailing, and they are 4-1.
Yeah, no, I mean that's obviously awesome, but you have to think, okay, well they've been trailing for a lot of those, so the fact they've had to come back against the Bengals and the Seahawks and the Cowboys, not what you'd want, but it makes for great TV for sure. Aaron Rodgers, if it weren't for Alex Smith, which is just an insane thing to still think about, he'd probably be the MVP again. So, yeah.
All right. What do we want to talk about before we close it out? Anything funny happening in your life?
Nothing.
Panda Express?
No, Panda Express. Oh, really quickly, NBA. I just want to talk about the Cavs.
Oh, yeah, let's tease our next show.
So J.R. Smith upset that he's sent to the bench. I mean, I kind of understand. Like, if I were thinking about it, like J.R. Smith, he's been part of that team for a while now, for a few years. The Cavs offense, especially now that Kyrie's gone, is really going to be predicated on ball movement with LeBron a year older. And having that ball movement with people who can shoot the 3 is really what you want. So now that, take out Kyrie Irving, who is a good 3-point shooter, putting in Derrick Rose starting at point guard. Not a good 3-point shooter. He's a driver. And you want to have, 3 guys besides LeBron and Derrick Rose who can shoot 3s. They have Kevin Love in there, so that's good. I believe they are going to be starting their new acquisition from the Celtics. I always forget his name because
Crowder?
Yeah, Crowder. I always get Jay Crowder and DeMarre Carroll mixed up.
They look alike.
They both have dreads, yeah. So Jay Crowder, he's an adequate 3-point shooter.
Well, they're having him in there because of defense. That guy is an incredible defender, and more than that, an incredible rebounder.
For sure. But you're thinking about offensive end, and then so if you had JR there, so you had JR and Kevin Love, okay, that's 2 good 3-point shooters. But now if you're starting D Wade, he's not a 3-point shooter. He's more of a driver. And especially at this point in his career, he's going to turn 36 in like a month or 2. He averaged under 30 minutes per game last year, 29.9, so just under 30. I mean, he still averages a lot of points when he plays. He's averaging 22 points per game or per 48 minutes, so a full game, which is right at where he was when he was on the Heat with LeBron. But that kind of, to me, screams super sub, 6-man, playing 25 minutes a game off the bench, not having, being able to take over when LeBron's not in there, and obviously play some with LeBron. But LeBron is going to be in there. He's want to be setting people up like J.R. Smith for 3s, and when it's Dwayne Wade in there, you're not going to be shooting those 3s. So I kind of see where J.R. Smith's coming from.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on a point. Well, first of all, did you watch last night or the night before's game when they had D Wade and Derrick Rose in at the same time? It was
I saw part of it.
Beautiful. Those 2 guys on the court at the same time. The court is so spread out that either one of them can just get to the rim at will, pretty much. Wade had like 16 points in 15 minutes or something. It was awesome. But Dwayne Wade is not a stupid person, and he's not a stupid player. He never has been.
Yes.
I think that he has seen this huge shift we've had in the NBA to very small lineups with a ton of 3-point shots just chucking up. And I have a feeling he spent the entire summer, I have nothing to predicate this on, that he spent the entire summer in the gym with LeBron shooting 3-pointers and them just having 3-point contests, because I think he knows he's not as fast as he once was. He can still dribble the ball like crazy. He can still set people up. But I think he knows that he's going to get open looks in this offense that has so many cutters and so many different attraction to Love and LeBron and all this thing. He's going to be left wide open. I don't know how else people are going to guard the Cavaliers. And we are going to do a full NBA preview next Tuesday when we get into really deep stuff about all these teams that we're thinking are going to go deep in the playoffs.
Let's just say we're going to have to struggle to cut it to 2 hours.
And it's going to be all NBA. So if you're an NBA person who wants to call in, we're going to have a ton of call-in time during that. And we want to hear everyone's opinion. But we are going to argue quite a bit because we agree mostly on the NFL. We agree mostly on MLB. NBA, I hate Alex Klepper. And he hates me because I hate Russell Westbrook.
So much hatred. So much hatred in this room on Tuesday. Can't